Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is CoachFury here and we are back today with the next episode in our Let's Play series of the Chicago Bulls in Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 21. Well, it's fair to say that we're in good stead. We are at playoff time. We have got ourselves through the first couple of rounds and we are now in a position where we are up against a fairly good team, I would say. The Philadelphia 76ers in the second round here. We managed to beat our nemesis, the Atlanta Hawks, in the first round, quite convincingly 4-1 in the end, which I am just I'm absolutely delighted about, to be perfectly honest with you. That was a team that I really wanted to get one up on, to be perfectly honest with you, with last season's dismal performance against them. But we managed to show them that just having Trae Young and Collins, you can't beat this Bulls team. And, well, that means that we're in good shape. We're completely healthy, which is the main thing, I guess, going into this second round game against Philadelphia. And, well, I guess we're going to keep the rotation as is. That's the main thing to probably say to begin this episode. Everyone's healthy. We're going to go in for all guns blazing and see how we get on from there. So, in terms of how this Philadelphia team plays, let's have a little look at the insights page and just see. Well, it's fair to say that they are a pretty good offensive team. They are pretty terrible on defense, and I think there's a particular couple of reasons for that. Let's take a little look at their roster, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this. They're not a bad shooting team, which has actually surprised me a little bit. But, you know, basically the strategy that they have is they've got Embiid, obviously, who's just a phenomenal centre player. There's no denying that. He is just a really, really good scorer. And obviously Ben Simmons, a phenomenal guy who can play pretty much any position. But they are playing him out at point guard, you know, because of his handling ability. And alongside that, they've basically thrown in some guys who can kind of shoot, to be honest. So the strategy they've got is they're going to feed the ball into Embiid and Simmons. Hope they run a bit of a pick and roll and simply go from there. But, you know, there are gaps in this team. I mean, I like Milton, but he's not the world's best defender. Cody Zeller and then likes of Curry coming off the bench. So they've got shooting. They've got a bit of presence. They do have Harris out, which is a phenomenal thing for us. So they're having to play someone like Lopez, who's really just not a good player. So I think in terms of our strategy, what we're going to do, and we'll see for the first game how it goes and maybe react from there. We're going to run the exact same strategy option that we ran against the likes of the Hawks. And that is essentially, you know, we're going to run straight man-to-man, but we're going to play a bit of a focus in terms of zone defense and see how that looks for us. I think we can basically force them into hitting those three-point shots because it essentially takes the ball away from Embiid and Simmons, and hopefully, if we take the ball away from those two guys who are their main players, we force the rotation to try and beat us. And I think if we go rotate their rotation against our actual lineup, I think that's going to be strong enough to get the job done here. So, as usual, guys, we'll sim through. When we get to crucial games, we'll play them live and see how it goes. But, you know, and we'll make adjustments as we go along on the fly. But let's see how we get on. First game at home, obviously. We are the 1 seed, so we do have home court advantage. Let's see if we can hold it in game 1. And we can. We get a 10-point win there in game 1. A good start to this series. Wendell Carter having a great game. 19 points, 23 rebounds is always a good start. And you can see here they are chucking up a lot of shots from 3-point. And actually not a bad volume. But it means the likes of Simmons, who's actually hit foul trouble, which is surprising. And then the likes of Embiid, you know, taking shots, but they're having difficult shots, which is the main thing. Look, I don't mind if Embiid is shooting 0 of 9 from 3-point. That is always going to work in our favour. So, we'll move on to the second game. Let's see how we get on. Can we hold home court? We can. A nice convincing win there as well. 122-95. Wendell Carter looking absolutely fantastic in this series at this moment in time. Peyton's struggling a little bit with his shooting numbers in this one, but it looks like we're in good form. It's surprisingly that Brandon Clark only played 11 minutes, but it looks like he's picked up a bit of an injury there. But again, you know, you can see Simmons has hit foul trouble. Embiid is shooting 2 of 6 from 3-point range. We are going to carry on with this, I think, and see how we get on. So we move into game 3. Same strategy. I'm not going to change anything. I think everyone is back healthy now. Clark is back, and we go on the road. Can we take a 3-0 lead? We can. 121-98. The 76ers are certainly struggling against our Bulls team at this moment in time. 31 points from Jaren Jackson Jr. in this one. And we are pretty much taking them to the cleaners at this moment in time. Embiid is struggling, 5 of 19. Again, he's putting up way too many three-point shots to be effective. Simmons did play more minutes this time, but 4 of 16. He's struggling in this one. And this 76ers team does not look like it has an answer for us. So we will save quickly just so we don't get a crash at this point. And we go into game 4, 3-0 up in the series. We'll check for injuries before we go in and watch this one. We have none, which is great. We're nice and healthy. We're going into this one on the road against the 76ers. Can we sweep them in the second round and get the job done? Get out of Philadelphia, get ourselves back into the next round and see where we go from there. So in terms of lineup, they haven't changed much. We haven't changed anything clearly. So Simmons against Payton, I think that's an interesting matchup because on offense, Simmons is clearly going to have the height advantage, have the play advantage over Payton. But, I think Payton being smaller is actually going to really cause Simmons problems. And I think he has. You can see by the foul trouble that he has been in. I think Trent Jr. is a better player than McLaughlin, I think it is. He's a better player, better shooter. Leonard against Robinson, that's just no contest. Clark against Porter is no contest. And Jackson Jr. against Embiid is a fascinating matchup. So let's dive into this one. Let's get ourselves sped up a little bit to begin with and see, can we get game 4 a win on the road, come away with this one and get ourselves back nice and healthy. A big nice chunk of rest before we get into the next round. So far, it's looking pretty good in this one. We've got a foul. I don't think I've got foul switched on. No, we haven't. So I'm not sure why we've stopped there. 10-5 up in the first quarter to begin with. We're looking like we've come out all guns blazing. They are struggling with their shooting numbers at this moment in time. It looks like, Robinson's taken 4 shots, which is surprising. 0-4. But the first quarter looks like we've started pretty strongly in this one as they start to peg us back a little bit in the back end of this first quarter and take a little bit of a lead. They obviously, got nothing to lose in this game, and they've certainly shown it at the back end of this first quarter, taking a 9-point lead over us. 12-point lead now. Wow. Okay. So Embiid is having a good game. He's 4 of 6. He's actually in the power forward slot, so they've obviously shifted him around a little bit there. But hopefully once the rotation comes in, we can peg this one back. But we are down by 15, which is surprising considering that their shooting numbers have picked up quite a lot. It's fair to say that the 3-point game is working out okay for them in this one so far. 8 of 14 is certainly going to mean they're going to be in a strong position regardless of how terrible their shooting has been in the rest of the series. Embiid is 4 of 7, Simmons is 3 of 5. We're down by 13 at this point. We need to peg ourselves back a little bit before we get to halftime, hopefully. Payton's 2 of 6 has been struggling for us, but our actual shooting numbers have not been too terrible. We'll see how we go in the second half. There's no way that they can remain at 47% from 3-point range, and we are 1 of 13. So clearly that has been one of the deciding factors early on in this game 4 of the series. But allowing them to put up 59 points at the half is certainly not going to be a good thing for us. And Embiid is certainly having a great game at this point. He's hit 3 of 6 from downtown, which is definitely out of sync with what he normally has. 8 of 13. He is no doubt the player of the half. On our side, we have not actually gotten into any foul trouble. We've just been struggling a little bit with our sort of 3-point shooting numbers. Nobody has really hit a shot when it comes to that. Payton hitting a couple. So hopefully we can regress back to sort of our average. They can regress down to their average, and that'll be enough for us to get this one done. But we are down by 16, so we've got a lot to play for in this one. It's going to be a tough one to come back. We'll see. We've managed to chip away a little bit at it now. But yeah, 45% from downtown is certainly helping them in this one. So we are down by 14 or so in the third quarter here. We will need a little bit of a comeback, a little bit of a run in this one to try and get this one back. Hopefully we can get that job done. It'd be nice to get a nice sweep here early on in this one and kind of come away with the win. But 57 points in the middle of the third quarter is not going to be enough. They've managed to keep that 14-point lead or so quite consistent through this game. So hopefully we can peg them back a little bit. Down by 10 now into the fourth quarter, pretty much now at this point. Simmons has had a good game and Embiid has had a good game. Both of them have actually come out pretty much guns blazing in this one. Down by 12. We'll see if we get any close to it, and then we'll try and slow it down, I think, at that point. But it looks like we are not going to get close to this lead at this moment in time. As I say that, we're now down by 8 or so. So they're still keeping that little gap on us. It's going to be close to try and win this one back. Our shooting numbers have not been too terrible, but they've actually had a phenomenal 3-point shooting game here, which is definitely outside of the norm of what we've seen in the other performances against them in this series. As we are down by about 9 or so towards the back end of this. 6 points now. We will slow this down, I think, at this point. 4 minutes to go. We're down by 6. We'll just run a couple of plays here and just see how it looks. We obviously need to basically get themselves back down within 4 or so for this one to be competitive in the last 3 or 4 minutes of this game. As a defensive foul, they managed to make 1 or 2 there. Down by 7. We basically need a basket here to keep this one competitive. And we do. Jaren Jackson Jr. drives in and hits it. We're now down by 5 with 3.5 to go. So this game is still an option for us. The miss there from 3-point range, Jackson Jr. picks it up. We drive in, Jackson Jr. puts it in, so it's now a 3-point game. We've now managed to claw ourselves back into this one, which is surprising. And they miss a 3-pointer, and we drive down the other side of the pitch. And we miss that one. Simmons grabbing the rebound there. Drived in, Simmons makes it. It's now a 5-point game with 2.5 to go. Oh, and a steal and a drive, and I think that's probably going to be the point that makes this one a win for them. 7 points are now in this one. We do need a bit of a run here to kind of make it happen. Missed rebound there by Embiid, and they go down the other side, and it's a foul time, so they're down by 8. We need to basically hit a 3-pointer at this point, but we turn the ball over. It looks like we are not going to sweep this Philadelphia team. We are now in sort of the territory of fouls and needing to chuck up shots. We missed that one. It looks like it's over. I'm going to speed this one up, guys. I don't think we're going to come back in here. So Philadelphia have avoided the sweep at home. They win by 11. Bit of an upset. They had a fantastic 3-point shooting night, and Embiid had a great night as well. I don't expect that to necessarily happen in the next game, but they've avoided the sweep, which was their main aim in this one. Have we got any injuries? That's a key thing for us to have a look at. No, we do not. Great. Okay, so let's move on. Let's watch the game at home. I'm not going to change anything in this one. I think it's important we keep the consistency. Hopefully we get the job done at home. Let's dive in and have a look and see how this one goes. Philadelphia have got it all to play for in this one, as they come out and actually have a stonking start to this one, grabbing a little bit of a lead there. We need to basically up our offensive performance in this to have a result, and hope that they regress back to the mean in terms of their 3-point shooting numbers. But they've taken a bit of a lead in this one. Surprising, considering what we've seen in the other games. But they've got nothing to play for in this one. We are at home. Pressure is certainly on us to try and get the job done here, as they take a little bit of a lead in this first quarter. A little bit of the similar methods to the game 4 performance. Hopefully we can turn ourselves back on and actually get the result here. We need to be a much better performance-wise. It looks like our shooting numbers are not too bad for us, but they are still hitting shots from downtown, which is definitely surprising considering what we've seen before this. That seems to be the factor that's keeping them in this game at the moment, because their actual shooting numbers are atrocious, but their 3-point shooting numbers have been pretty strong. We are down by 7 now at this point in the second quarter. We really need to basically up our defensive game. Our offensive game has actually been okay, but it's pretty clear that 7 turnovers to 0 turnovers is not good enough, and there's probably been a bit of a factor in this one. They've upped the defensive pressure on us a little bit in that respect, as they take a bit of a lead here in the second quarter. And B's having a pretty good night again, 3 of 5 at this moment in time. And Simmons is not shooting too well, but it looks like we are struggling to stop that 3-point shooting at this moment in time. And our actual offensive numbers have been a bit of a mixed bag. And again, they've managed to put up plus 50 or so on us in the half. Simmons having a good game by the sounds of it here. We are in a little bit of a difficult situation here. Jackson Jr.'s shooting numbers have not been great. It's clear that we really need to come out strong in this second half to get this job done. It'd be nice not to try and push this one into a game 6, to be perfectly honest with you. We may have to have a little bit of a look at the strategy after this one if we don't win it. We are down quite a considerable amount at this point, which is really surprising, given the performances we've seen for the first 3 games don't really indicate this. Again, they are 10 of 18 from 3-point range, so their 3-point shooting has just completely gone off against us in comparison to the other first few set of games. And that seems to be the driving factor. And our offense seems to be slowly struggling against this Philadelphia team. We're down by 15 in this third quarter. We are certainly struggling in this one. And I don't see us coming back in this one either. So we're going to have a real hard think about how we do what we do in game 6, to be perfectly honest with you, because they are scoring at will against us from 3-point range. And that's a worry, because if we can't shut that off effectively, or they are going off hot on that, I'm very reluctant to allow them the inside game, because that's where Simmons and Embiid are basically going to be very, very effective against us. So hopefully we can pull this one out the bag a little bit in this fourth quarter and at least make it competitive. We are down by 9 or 10 at this point. We just haven't been close. We haven't been close in this game at all. And it looks like they are going to come away with the win in this one as well. Down by 7, well, down by 10 now. 2 minutes to go. They've pretty much walked away with this one. We've only put up 92 points again, which is surprising. Again, though, they've shot really, really well from downtown, 13 of 37. And it's definitely been a turnover thing. 0 turnovers to our 12 turnovers has been the deciding factor in this one. Simmons with just a phenomenal game, to be perfectly honest with you. So we go into game 6. Really did not want to get to this situation, to be perfectly honest. 3-2 up. We're still healthy. I mean, when we look at the previous games, I'm so surprised that we are in a game 6 situation. But you know, that's where we are. I don't think we change anything for this one. I think we leave it as is and kind of see how we get on. I just still think they're going to regress back to the mean. I can't see them hanging on with us based on the previous performance of the first 3 games. I may be proven wrong, but let's see how we get on. We are on the road here, so we do have a difficult situation here to do, and we already have 1 turnover. That's a real worry for me. But I can't see them hanging on to this for 3 games in a row. Just seems very, very odd in my opinion. But we are struggling again in this first quarter. We have yet to really have a lead in the past 3 games, to be perfectly honest with you. So they have stonked out to a lead again here. 4 turnovers to 0 is really a worry for me. And that seems to be the driving factor in this one. Down by 7 already in the first quarter here. We just need to basically, if we can stay within 2 to 3 points of them for most of the game, I think we've got enough in the fourth quarter to kind of get the job done. But we're a little bit more competitive in this one. We're only down by 5 or so. We need to pull this one out of the bag. Again, their 3-point shooting is going off pretty well at the moment, 41%. But you know, I think hopefully we can hang on in this one and get it done. And it looks like our team has come out with a much better performance this time. But 9 turnovers to their 6. That's a little bit better in terms of the turnover discrepancy that we saw in the past couple of games. But we're still down in this one, and it looks like it's been a struggle. Embiid is having a much better performance, and they have shifted him to power forward, which is interesting. We'll have to take a look at that one if we don't win this game for a game 7. But we are down by 7 again. We are struggling again in this one. Hopefully we can pull it out. Just the gap is extending now in this second quarter. This is becoming a bit of a worry, guys. A bit of a worry for us. 14 points. So it looks like we're going to be down by, again, a considerable amount in the half. We've allowed them to put up 60 plus points again on us in the half. 13 turnovers to 6. That's just simply not good enough. Hopefully we can at least pull something out in this second half and come away with the win. This is becoming a little bit more stretched than I'd anticipated it ever being, really, when we were 3-0 up in this series. Gap is 10 points again, though. We just haven't been able to really slow them down, which is a real worry. And our offense has actually been okay. We've been good numbers there, but the turnover battle clearly has been lost, and it's clearly been a deciding factor in this one. We're down by 16 now, with most of the sort of fourth quarter and a bit of the third to go. We've just not been close. We simply have not been close in this one again. Defense is letting us down really, and turnovers are letting us down. And we put it back to within 2. Can we get ourselves into the lead here? We can't. We are down by 4 at this point. I'm getting worried now, guys. I'm genuinely getting worried about this series. We haven't been able to stop them at all. $16 turnovers to 9 as we take a bit of a lead here. Going into this one, the Philadelphia have pulled out a slight lead. We're going back and forth now in this fourth quarter. We're a little bit more competitive in this game. We'll slow it down probably around about the 4.4 minute mark, I think, and see how it looks from there. So we are up by 4 at this point. 4 minutes to go, up by 4. Who is going to come out on top in here in this game? It's been a real interesting sort of second half of this series at this point, and as I said, it's been a worry. Turnovers have been the factor I've sort of mentioned a couple of times in this game. We are up by 7 now. You just need to basically hold on here. Up by 5 with 3.5 to go. Just keep it consistent, guys. Jaren Jackson puts the bucket in. Still up by 7. 3 minutes to go now in this game. 3 minutes to hang on and win this series. That's the main thing. Kawhi Leonard grabs the rebound there. Run the clock down a little bit. Defensive foul. Elfrid Payton shoots. He hits 1 of 2, I think. 8 points is the gap with 2 and a bit to go. Another stop and a turnover there. Jackson Jr. grabs it. We go down the other end. Looks like we're going to run a bit of the clock down here. Good strategy here by us. We drive in. Defensive foul. Brandon Clark hits the shots. 9 points of the difference now with 2 minutes to go. I think that might be enough of a lead for us to get the job done. But Embiid hits the shot there. We're now only up by 6 and they turn over and it drives in and it's free throws and it's now a 4-point game with 1 minute and 40 to go. And that is how quickly basketball can change. And they foul us immediately. Kawhi Leonard hits 1 or 2, I think. And 6 points is the gap. Basically, it's all on Philadelphia now to try and get something. And they turn the ball over. We go down the other end. We've basically got to run a bit of the clock out. Jackson Jr. drives in, slams it in, 8-point game. And I think that is probably going to do it for us. Jackson Jr. grabs the rebound. We're now in a foul situation. 10-point gap now. Thank goodness we have held on in this one and got the job done, I think. Embiid hits it, but they're going to foul us immediately and we're in shooting zone territory for that in fouls. So 9-point gap. We go down the other end and this one is over. It is in the bag now. We'll run most of the clock down here at this point. Get the ball out and we are going into the next round of the playoffs. And we turn the ball over, of course we do. 17 turnovers in this game. That's been a really interesting factor. Clearly they've got an interesting defensive strategy that causes some problems towards the back half of this series. But we got the job done. We are coming away with this one with the win. 4-2 up. And let's have a look at see how the other series have gone. So the Jazz are through against the Pelicans. The first seed are through. And the Suns, the first and second seed, are through in the Western Conference. In the other side of our conference, the Hornets and Bucks are tied at a Game 7 series. Let's see who goes through. Will the Hornets or will the Bucks be going through in this one? It is the Bucks. So we are playing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Reminiscent of, I think, of our first season where we played them. So that's how we line up for the next episode and the next part of this series. Can we get the job done against the Milwaukee Bucks and get ourselves into the actual NBA Finals and go from there? Wow, I mean that series looked like it was going to be easier than I thought it was to begin with. 3-0 up, but we managed to hang on. We got in there. We kept with our strategy, and yeah, we'll see how we get on against the Milwaukee Bucks. But as always, guys, if you enjoy the episodes, hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll be back next time with the Eastern Conference Finals.